Welcome to the What Are We Doing Here podcast, where we share the inspiring stories of two completely opposite women who overcame their unhealthy relationships with food and negative self talk and found a path to health and healing through self discovery and natural nutritional supplements. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Brittany, and today we're going to discuss self-care, especially physical and emotional self-care, and some of the techniques that will help you reduce stress.
Yeah. So we live in a world of high stress, high productivity, hustle culture.
Mm.
And women, working moms, we all feel like we have to do it all and we prioritize everyone else over ourselves.
Yes.
And I found that when I slowed down and took a little bit of time for myself, even if it's short, the productivity actually came quicker. And it's so crazy because it seems counterintuitive, right? Like
Right.
it feels like there's no way I can take a break. I've got lists everywhere. I've got this and that and 97 million things and all the kids' schedules. And sometimes I can't even keep them straight. But it is so important to slow down and take care of ourselves because when we show up for ourselves and take care of ourselves, we can take care of everyone else so much better. That whole, you know, you can't pour from an empty cup. It's so true. That's
Yeah, it
why
makes
we
me
burn.
think about the airline guys. Wear your mask. Put your mask on before you put everybody else's mask on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. So I definitely didn't used to do this well. And
I
it's
still
still
don't.
it's still a struggle. This is one of those things that I have to plan it into my week. I have to plan it into my days. And it's another one of those areas that roll with the punches. If it doesn't get done, it's okay. 80-20, right?
Right.
As long as I get it done 20% of the time. I'll tell you one that I keep saying I'm going to do. And this is funny. I've been to a couple of conferences and it was like, write down some of the things that you do frequently and some of the things that you wish that you did more. It's
Right.
getting a pedicure. Like I say all the time, I'm going to make it a point to do pedicures routinely. I live in Florida, for goodness sake. Like, it's warm all the time.
So
And
we actually do. Mom and I make it a priority to get pedicures. Just we actually do it to spend time together, which is a form of self care. Spending
absolutely.
time with people that mean a lot to you. But you can't go into it. I'm learning this. You can't go into it and sit in the chair and get your pedicure and the whole time be freaking out on your phone, texting. Like you have to actually take a calm, relaxing, put it all away and
Yep.
just be in the moment, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to highlight the fact that when we think about self care, we usually think it's something that takes a lot of time,
Right.
like
We
that,
do.
like
Mhm.
driving to go get a pedicure, sitting in the chair and doing things that take a long time. But to be 100% honest, it's stepping away from the busy. It's when you have a stressful time with your family, with whatever's going on, even for you, like during those weekends where you work all weekend and it is high stress, it's taking 5 or 10 minutes to go to the car and sit alone. Don't get on, like, seriously, just sit with your emotions for a minute and relax and let your nervous system slow down. You
And
know, it,
I'm good about doing that on those weekends. It's during the other parts of time, my life that I'm not. I'm not afraid to say that I am not an expert on self care. Like I learned from Lindsay every time we talk, we've discussed it, and I'm still working out self care. To me, Lindsay, self care was always like selfish and like overindulgent. Like I felt like if I took care of myself, then something else was getting neglected, so I was being selfish. Does that make sense?
1,000%, and that's what everyone does,
Mhm.
right?
Right,
It's we feel like we can't be selfish and take that time away from someone else because someone else needs something more than I need to relax,
right,
right?
right.
And that's that mentality that we get into is that there's so much that could be done. There's
Mm,
no time to relax. That's not productive
no.
because we live in hustle culture.
Mhm, yeah.
And, so what are other than the pedicure, what are some of the other forms of self-care you feel like you do?
That I do regularly?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I used to prioritize taking a bath, just getting away from it all, sitting in the bathtub. That was my form of self-care. Sometimes I would read. These days, I feel like I don't practice self-care enough. Um, I feel like I'm always running and I'm never going anywhere. I do notice if I stop and just kind of relax, that when I go back, I am more productive, like you said. I guess if I had to say anything I was good at is every now and then I'll just stop and play a game. I'll just stop and call mom. Just doing something that I enjoy, even if it is 10 minutes. But I'm not good.
How
I can't tell you anything I do regularly for self care.
I can. How
Good.
about your wins?
Okay. There you go. There you go.
So
Perfect.
I think sometimes too, you highlighted exactly what I was saying is that we think that self-care has to be something big
True.
that we're going to do. We're taking a bath. And so journaling is a form of self-care.
I would agree.
Okay. And so I think that this right here, exactly what you said, is such a good example of how, even that though, people say, I don't have time to journal, but it's that simple. Having a little habit.
That's what I was going to say. But it needs to be, even my wind journaling happens at a random time during the day. I think if it made more sense for me to do it right when I got up or right when I went to bed, and not let it get out of control. Like, when am I going to sit down and do it? Because if you let it get out of control, if you don't have a time set aside for something, then it becomes a stressor all of its own. In my book,
But that's when too I would urge you to say, it's okay if I don't get it done 20% of the time, right?
true. Yes,
And so letting yourself be okay with it being with what you get done being okay.
true.
You
But
know,
yes,
we're so hard on ourselves and
go
we
ahead.
are. We're so hard on ourselves.
But I think being kind, a lot of times type A people like the two of us,
Yes.
we go and don't take time for ourselves. But you have to be kind to yourself too. I'm learning every day. Allison told me the other day, she said, you have zero patience with yourself. You've got patience with the world, but none with yourself. And when you hold yourself to such a high standard, it can add stress to your life. There's a time to be patient with yourself. There's a time to give yourself grace and to step back, say it's okay to take care of myself now.
But it's also easy to say that and difficult to do
Intentions,
because
right?
yes,
Mhm.
intentions. And just like you, I mean, it is something that has to be conscious for me all the time. Let's say specifically today. We I've been really crazy schedule since we've been back from Puerto Rico. I've had very few days off of clinically working, taking care of patients. And today is one in the middle of, I don't know, 11 on one side, 6 on the next. So a lot of days. And I still had to make sure my my self-care today was sleeping in.
Oh, good
I
for you.
knew I knew that I had a lot of stuff to do today. I have lists on top of lists that need to get done because this is my one day off. But I also have been working a lot. And if that's the only thing that I do for myself today, the alarm went off
Mhm.
and Bill got up and I said, you know what? I need 30 more minutes. I turned my alarm, I changed it, and I laid back down. and I got up and I was refreshed and I was ready to go. And that's okay, you
Yes,
know?
absolutely.
But so many times we think, I've got so much to do, but slowing down, and if you give yourself the rest that your body needs, then you can focus better and you can get those tasks done so much easier.
And logically, I know that. Like, I've read the studies where people like go and take a 20-minute nap during their
Mhm.
lunch break, if they have a 12-hour day and whatnot, and how much more that productive they are after. Like, logically, I know these things, Lindsay, but it's like you said, putting them into effect. Like, because as far as it goes, like, it easily spins out of control for me. Like, I can say, okay, self care, I'm prioritizing self care this week, but doing it, it's another struggle, you know?
This is where you're still on your journey.
Yeah, true.
Right? This is
Mhm.
where I think that it's really nice that when we talk about these things, and just like when we were prepping, you were like, "I'm not a self-care guru. I don't know how to do it." And that's okay. That's what I love about this is that there are things that I don't do well still, and we're still on a journey of self-discovery. And that's what I like, that we get to share it with everybody
Yes.
as we're going through it, you
Mhm.
know? And it's
Right.
okay that we still struggle. We don't have it all together. I promise. Some days are hard.
Oh, and it seems like our non-structured days are the hardest, right?
Yes. Yeah. And and so I think remembering to give yourself grace
Mhm.
and don't get stuck in a shame blame cycle, right?
Right.
And that is one of the hardest things to do because we set such high expectations for what we need to get done,
Yeah.
and if we don't get this done, we didn't do enough. And I have done a lot of healing to get through that. We've talked about that before, that even getting on stage and winning all these trophies, I still wasn't good enough,
Yeah.
you know? And so it takes time, and it takes that writing those things down,
Mhm.
writing down the beliefs that we have and how that makes us feel, and feeling like, "Well, I don't do self-care good, so I'm not good at it," you know? So just keep doing what you're doing with your win journal and
Right.
add to it, and don't let it be a stressor. I
Yeah.
think that that's important for everyone to understand, is do what you can do, but make something a priority
Mhm.
80% of the time.
Right. Yeah, I think if you get stuck in that cycle, it's hard to get out of. That all goes back to what we talked about last week with habits and all. But you have to really make the decision and stick with it, because once you get in that cycle, I know, because I'm really bad about doing it. We talked about it last week. Here's a perfect example: that social media cycle. You and
Mhm,
we post on social media a lot to do with work and so on and so forth. It's easy to keep scrolling. And,
mhm.
at that point, if you don't move with intention like you do, Lindsay, set a timer. Say, I know I want to scroll right now. This is a form of self care. I can do it for 10 minutes. But when it turns into 30, that becomes an issue, right? So
Right.
it's all about making yourself stick to it also. And it has to be conscious, because I can't consciously, if I don't set a timer, 30 minutes are gone and I don't realize it.
Mhm.
So, and also sticking with it, because I'm really bad about forming new habits.
And that's okay.
It's all in my journey, you say. So,
Yes.
I think that's something, and that's good for the listeners to hear, because we're so different in this area. Like, I look up to Lindsay in this area, and I have her, and you guys have her. Like, listen to what she's saying, because usually if I listen, she's right.
You're so funny. But let's just leave the listeners with this, that if the only self-care that you can give yourself today, or the only self-care that you can get in every day, is taking 5 minutes to walk away and do some slow breathing and be alone,
Mm, yeah.
because slowing down and giving yourself the time to relax and reset your emotions and your nervous system and just
Mm,
walking away and taking some deep breaths. And I think I talked about this last week, like that grounding yourself with your body, right? Like walk away and ground yourself, get in the moment. I mean, this easy tapping, like get in your body
mhm.
and step away for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
And that's okay if that's all you can do, if that's all that you can manage,
just some
and you can
quiet
add
time
'em.
away from the kids, from the work, from everything. Just take time to ground yourself, and that makes a lot of sense.
It does, because we just live in that cycle of hustle, hustle, hustle. I can't
Mhm.
slow down. And if we could just take a minute to back away and get in a habit of slowing down for a second, realizing where am I at? What am I doing? What really is a priority right now? And you can move forward a little easier. You can
Right.
look at your list with more clarity, and
Yeah,
you can,
100%.
because you're in that just spin cycle
It
and you
is.
can't get focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It causes more anxiety to look at your list because which one do I do first? So that does,
Right.
it makes a lot of sense. Walk away, come back, look at it with a fresh set of eyes.
Exactly. And that is a perfect form of self care right now, if that's all that you can manage.
Mhm.
And then you can grow on it.
Well, and I think that's important to leave them with too. It's personal. What self-care is personal. What
Hmm.
Lindsay does is completely different than what Brittany does. Like if all Brittany can do is take 5 minutes when she needs it, that's all she can do right now. Lindsay
That's right.
has her self-care and it's different than Brittany's, and that's okay. Make your
That's right.
self-care about you and personal.
That's right. And you can grow it and mold it and change it anytime you need to.
Yes. Yes.
Just being intentional with it,
Mhm.
and having some grace with yourself.
We'll work on that one.
We will. We'll keep working on it.
So, all
So
right, guys.
as you can see, my sleeping in, I didn't do my hair. I said that that was one of those things, but so we're going to make this a short one. We're going
Yes.
to leave you all to have 5 extra minutes of quiet time
Yes,
to
I love
do
it.
a little self-reflecting, slow down a little, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
So, if you found value in this episode, share it with a friend, someone who you think could also find value in it. Give us a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform. And if you are listening on or watching on YouTube, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the little bell so that you don't miss an episode from us. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.